Our top story today from thegatewaypundit.com, corrupt Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo indicted staffers, reimbursed $900,000 in legal fees for charges related to $11 million no-bid COVID vaccine outreach contract. We're talking about this story and so much more here on the Gateway Pundit's Week in Review. My name's Elijah Schaffer, and this is the Gateway Pundit's Week in Review, where we cover the top 5 stories of the last 24 hours. Our top story today, a corrupt Harris County judge, Lina Hidalgo, indicted staffers, reimbursed $900,000 in legal fees for charges related to $11 million no-bid COVID vaccine outreach contract. Let's talk about this. Well, as it turns out here, corrupt Harris County judge, Lina Hidalgo, and her former staffers will be reimbursed nearly $900,000 in legal fees related to a bid rigging charges. Last year, Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg transferred the case to Ken Paxton's office so it didn't fall through the cracks when she left office later this year. However, county commissioners voted 3-1 to reimburse Hidalgo and her 3 former staffers $877,402 for legal fees related to the case after a separate prosecutor dropped the charges. Hidalgo's office was embroiled in a bid rigging scandal. Now, Lina Hidalgo's top 3 staffers were indicted in April of 2022 after prosecutors expanded the investigation into an $11 million vaccine outreach contract awarded to one of the judge's political cronies. Now, that being said, while Hidalgo was threatening to jail and fine people for violating her COVID rules, she was secretly trying to award one of her political cronies, Felicity Perea, who founded Elevate Strategies, an $11 million vaccine outreach contract. Hidalgo ultimately panicked and canceled the $11 million vaccine contract after questions were raised that it was a one-person firm with no experience. Hidalgo's chief of staff, Alex Triantafyllis, and policy director, Wallace Nader, along with co-defendant Aaron Dunn, were charged with misuse of official information and tampering with government documents in connection with the canceled vaccine outreach contract. Look, this is once again further evidence, like I've stated many times before, that the vaccines were a complete scam. And it was a money laundering operation as well as an intelligence operation. And I'm just getting tired of trying to present like that's not exactly what happened. You know, we had it was a bioweapon attack on humanity. It was about changing the economy. And it's like, I feel like a crazy person talking about this because at the same time, we know this is ostensibly true. It's also, you know, what are we going to do about it, right? And that's why they do this stuff, because they know there's nothing you can do about it. It's like, yeah, we do whatever we want. We can even give $11 million to our friends. It's sort of like the Harris campaign, right? The amount of contracts they gave to their friends. It's absolutely absurd. With that being said, you know, we are witnessing a generational decline in men's testosterone, and men are weak today. And their levels are low due to lifestyle choices, diet, and exposure to environmental toxins. Now, this decline can result in persistent fatigue, diminished strength, reduced libido, mood swings, and overall loss of vitality, keeping you from feeling your very best self. Now, take control of your vitality with Man's Edge from Neutronics Labs. This is the natural solution to support healthy testosterone levels. Man's Edge is more than just a standard booster. It combines powerful ingredients like fenugreek, IGF-1, NO2, and more to help you feel your best. Now, studies show that fenugreek increases testosterone levels by up to 46%. Plus, unlike traditional powders and pills, Man's Edge offers up to 98% absorption, ensuring that you receive the full benefits of these clinically proven ingredients. Even Frank Stallone has made it a part of his daily routine to stay on top of his game. Join Frank Stallone and thousands of men rediscovering their vitality daily with Man's Edge. Sign up for Auto Ship program today and save 50% on all your orders. Reclaim your lost youth and energy. Visit the link below now or go to tboostnow.com. Use code Elijah to save an additional 10% on your first order. I use it. You should use it too. Now, that being said, breaking. Trump DOJ invokes state secrets privilege, tells Judge Boasberg it will provide him no more info on deportation flights. Listen to this. The Trump DOJ said that it's exercising the state secrets privilege and informed Judge James Boasberg it will no longer provide him with any information related to deportation flights. Boasberg, an Obama appointee, has been grilling DOJ lawyers about the Trump administration's move to deport dangerous Venezuelan aliens under the Alien Enemies Act. Judge Boasberg said that Trump's invocation of the Alien Enemies Act to deport criminal aliens is incredibly troublesome and problematic, and threatened the Trump admin with consequences if they violate his order in the future. On Monday evening, the DOJ had enough of Judge Boasberg's intrusive orders and invoked the state secrets privilege. The executive branch hereby notifies the court that no further information will be provided in response to the court's March 18, 2025 minute order based on the state secrets privilege and the concurrently filed declarations of the Secretary of State and the Secretary of the Homeland Security, the DOJ wrote. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi told the judge that the president has a plenary authority under Article 2 to remove from the homeland designated terrorists. This is a case about the president's plenary authority derived from Article 2 and the mandate of the electorate, and reinforced by a long-standing statute to remove the homeland designated terrorists participating in a state-sponsored invasion of and predatory incursion into the United States. The court has all of the facts that it needs to address the compliance issues before it. Further intrusions on the executive branch would present dangerous and wholly unwarranted separation of power harms with respect to diplomatic and national security concerns, and the court lacks competence to address, the DOJ said. The DOJ straight up told Boasberg that you will get no more information related to the deportation flights, and that's the case, end of the story. Now, as there's a judicial coup happening in our country, like we've seen in Brazil, where these rogue judges are trying to not just bring in checks and balances, but are actually trying to destroy the credibility of this administration and stop them from doing what they want to do, it's of no surprise to me, and it remains of no surprise in any way, that we are living in a day and age where, yes, it's true, the courts do have more power than they should have. Now, that being said, we know well-known YouTuber was arrested for allegedly trying to run down police officer, has a meltdown in court. This is a very popular YouTuber. This story is quite alarming. Check out the video that we have. It kind of explains everything on what was going on here. Here's the full report.
I have everything right here, and it's all been falsified. If anyone dares try to test my mental competence, I will eviscerate every single person with my intelligence right now. And that's not being egotistical.
Police paperwork says the pursuit started after Conover was going 55 in a 35. After 8 miles, Conover stopped, and an officer attempted to de-escalate the situation, but Conover allegedly drove at him and hit him in the leg and then sped off for another 28 miles.
Our Father who art in heaven.
The paperwork says the officer was thrown 40 feet, suffering a leg injury. Conover is facing several charges, including attempted murder.
Mom, thank God, look at me!
Today in court, Conover was outspoken, claiming that he's a public figure because of his nearly 3 million subscribers on YouTube, and saying this was part of a, quote, police sting against him.
All right.
Okay, Eric.
All right.
They're here to help you.
The state asks that he remains in preventative detention.
The state's position is that when a law enforcement officer signals for you to pull over and stop, you should do so.
He has had a chance to review the police reports in this matter, denies these allegations. He does not agree with the reports as they are stated.
The defense asked that he be released, saying he's not a threat to the public and has no criminal record. Police say he was arrested Friday night for a separate drunk driving charge, which Conover denies.
I've been sober from alcohol for 1,558 days, so to press me on a DUI, I'm a public figure.
The judge did hold Conover in preventative detention. He's due back in court next week for a probable cause hearing. In Conway, Kelly O'Brien, WMUR, News 9.
1,444 days sober from alcohol today. Welcome to episode number 1 of my podcast, Building Legacy, episode 1. How I got.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, every time I'm drinking, I don't make mistakes, but every time I've made a mistake, I've been drinking. It's honestly the truthful statement, right? Alcohol is a hell of a drug, and you got to be careful with that, folks. I don't know what the whole story is there. I mean, I've heard both sides of it, but you can find more about it on our website, thegatewaypundit.com. But that being said, Secretary of Defense Hegseth torches anti-Trump hoax peddler Jeffrey Goldberg over war plans, conspiracy. Check out this video we have here, where he has an interview on Fox News. Here's what he had to say.
Can you share how your information about war plans against the Houthis in Yemen was shared with a journalist in The Atlantic? And were those details classified?
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does. I would love to comment on the Houthi campaign because of the skill and courage of our troops. I've monitored it very closely from the beginning. And you see, we've been managing 4 years of deferred maintenance under the Trump administration. Our troops, our sailors were getting shot at as targets. Our ships couldn't sail through. And when they did shoot back, it was purely defensively or at shacks in Yemen. President Trump said, no more. we will reestablish deterrence, we will open freedom of navigation, and we will ultimately decimate the Houthis, which is exactly what we're doing as we speak from the beginning, overwhelmingly.
Why were those details shared on Signal, and how did you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used?
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Talk about getting decimated. Peter Hegseth is turning out to be a pretty smart guy, even smarter than a lot of people would have originally thought. Let me know what you think about him below in his performance as the Secretary of Defense. Now, that being said, obviously not everything is going as planned. The world's smartest investors aren't buying oil stocks. They're collecting mailbox money from oil royalties instead. I'm talking about passive income that shows up a month after month. Starting with as little as $25, visit ElijahOil.com to discover how you can tap into monthly royalty checks from America's most productive oil basin. You do not need to be wealthy or connected. You just need a regular brokerage account. That's ElijahOil.com, ElijahOil.com, to learn how you could start collecting oil royalty checks every month. Go to ElijahOil.com, ElijahOil.com today and find out how you can collect those checks and get in the mix at ElijahOil.com. Our last story, Northern Irish pastor prosecuted for sermon on John 3:16. Check out this story we have here. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Watch.
Clive Johnston attended a hearing after being charged with holding an open-air Sunday service in the vicinity of the Causeway Hospital in Coleraine in July last year. Clive was preaching on John 3:16 and did not mention abortion, but is being accused of seeking to influence people accessing abortion services.
I'd like to thank the media for the interest that they've taken in the case, and we have been overwhelmed by the amount of support that we've received. But I know that you'll understand that we can't make any comment publicly at this stage. Thank you very much.
The Christian Institute is supporting Clive's case, and his lawyers are contesting the charges. Senior criminal barrister Aaron Thompson told Coleraine Magistrates Court that the case involved crucially important devolution and constitutional matters. After the hearing, the Institute's Simon Calvert spoke to reporters.
The question those who wanted these buffer zones laws have to answer is, should laws designed to stop abortion protests also be used to prosecute the simple preaching of the gospel? Because that's all that Clive Johnston was doing. He held an open-air service where he preached from John 3:16, of all things, the most famous good news verse in the Bible. And if Clive can be prosecuted for preaching the gospel here in Coleraine, what about all the street preachers on the streets of Belfast, where they find themselves in many streets falling within the buffer zone? These are very important questions. There are very important principles at stake, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and that's why the Christian Institute is here today supporting Clive Johnston in his defence.
For more great content, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.
We do pray for our brothers and sisters in the Lord around the world as they're persecuted. We're going to continue to see that people, if you're transgender or you're, fighting against oil companies, they'll never intervene. But if you're talking about the truth sets you free, and those who are free indeed. They will castrate you and they'll throw you in jail. I'm Elijah Schaffer. Don't forget to join our mug club at thegatewaypundit.com. You can get one of these fancy mugs. They're delicious, nutritious. You can't eat them, but you can eat out of them. Particularly, I suggest drinking tea or coffee, and they're high-quality mugs. You can pick yours up at our website, thegatewaypundit.com. Join the mug club and fight against the information, disinformation, malinformation of the government, and join us as we tell the truth every single day. Have a great rest of the week, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.